All right, so in this video, we're going to go over step number 2 for your task for today, and that is to complete your metals, nonmetals, or metalloids lab on Schoology. So you're going to go onto Schoology. It's going to pop up on the right-hand side where it says metals, nonmetals, or metalloids. So when you click on it and open up your own version, it's going to look like this. So essentially, I've given you 6 different type of elements in this bin. So it's either going to be like a yellow or a white bin. And your goal is to do those 4 tests that we talked about in the notes in order to identify and confirm whether they are metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. Right? So before you do that, in your pre-lab question, your goal is to figure out whether it's metal, non-metal, or metalloid before you even start. So something that will help you out with that is page 2 of your periodic trends notes. So flipping over to my page 2 of the periodic trends notes, right? So essentially what you're going to do is identify where each element is on the periodic table and match it with your notes. So for example, Zn, if I check on the periodic table, Zn is somewhere around here in the yellow section, so it is considered a metal, right? And then you're going to continue that with the rest of the elements, right? In pre-lab question number 2, this should come from the notes that you would have taken in the first parts or in the first video, right? And question number 3 asks, based off of these tests, so if it's not reactive with acid but rust, is it most likely a metal, non-metal, or metalloid, right? So for each of these tests, I'm going to go over the procedure. Please make sure you read it on here though, even though I'm going over it on video. There might be a detail that I missed, but hopefully not. So in procedure number 1, you're just going to observe and make 3 different observations. So you should have 6 of these containers, each labeled with the element symbol. Feel free to open them up to make a couple of observations. In between your lab stations, there should be boxes of gloves if you don't want to get your hands too dirty, right? And based off of the observations, you should be able to kind of make some guesses to confirm whether they are metals or not metals. Second thing you're going to test for is reactivity with acid. So for reactivity with acid, you each have a white well plates. And for all of the elements, you're going to take a small sample of the elements using the tweezers. Right? So for example, if I have Si, all right, I'm going to take a small sample of the Si by opening up the container, using the tweezers to get a small sample out, and then placing it on one of the well plates to test, right? So since there are 6 elements, 6 of the well plates should be filled up, and then you're going to add a couple of drops of the HCl acid. And specifically, you're going to look for either a color change or some bubbles to be able to identify whether there was a reaction or not. So if there was a reaction, you're just going to write yes. If there was not a reaction, you're going to write no. And you're going to find that some of these elements, even though they are metals, are not very reactive with acids, right? So after completing this, right, you can leave everything in the tray because the next thing you're going to do is reactivity with CuCl2 or copper chloride. So with copper chloride, you're going to do the same thing, placing a small sample from the container using the tweezers into the next 6 wells, right? And then you're going to find the dropper bottle that says CuCl2 rust test, right? Add a couple of drops. And again, you're looking for color change or signs of rust. And you might have to wait a minute or 2 to notice the color change. Right. After you're done observing these tests and you're like, oh, yes, it rested. So you're going to type in yes if it rested, type in no if it did not rest. To get rid of this, we're not going to pour this down the sink. In each of your lab stations, there is a liquid waste only container. I know it says liquid waste only, but we're going to dump everything that's contaminated into this liquid waste bin. And then go ahead and rinse this out for period 6. Or if you are period 6, rinse this out anyways. I greatly appreciate you for that. Right? And then finally, for procedure 4, we're going to do a conductivity test. Right? So each of your bins, you'll find a conductivity tester. It looks like this. So notice there's kind of a scale in the back, right, where it will show you like what each thing means, but I'm also going to explain it anyways. So a reminder that they're probably on the off switch to turn the switch to on first. And similarly, either using the tweezers or your fingers, I can use my fingers to touch the tip of the conductivity tester, totally fine, right? I'm going to place the elements on both ends. And if I see both of these light up, right, that means yes, it does conduct, right? If I don't see anything light up, it does not conduct, right? Or there's no conductivity. And if only one of these lights up, there's some conductivity, not a lot. So after completing all 4 of these for each element, in the final results, you're going to confirm whether these are metals, nonmetals, or metalloids. And in the analysis questions, right, earlier I mentioned that sometimes you might not be able to get the results that was expected. So feel free to state like why you think that is and why not, and what could have accounted for the errors. And that's pretty much your lab. So when you are done, go ahead and click submit. And if you're feeling lost, I will go over this on Monday when I return. Right. And after you submit, the next thing is to review for your final, which will be in the 3rd video.